Good morning, family. Welcome to today's Lessons for Life. Today is Saturday, November the 8th, 2008. Today we're reading in Genesis chapter 40, and there's really a lot in this chapter. I'm going to briefly touch on a few of the points I want to bring up today, but I encourage you, as always, to read the entire chapter through for yourself, because there's more you can get from it, and then you can email us, and we'll add it to our blog. But Genesis 40, we're talking here about Joseph, who's in prison, if you remember from yesterday, because of Potiphar's wife and what happened with that situation. But it says at the end of the chapter, he still found favor in prison, and he was in charge over the other prisoners. So now, in Genesis 40, we see that he's joined in prison by the chief of the butler and the chief of the bakers. And he's in charge over them. And the first point I want to bring up is actually a couple of things in this chapter that I noticed that we've actually talked about from the earlier chapter in Genesis, but the importance of servanthood. Because it says that Joseph was in charge over them, and he served them. And there's really power in service, and those that understand that are the ones that's in charge. Because if you think about a parent, let's say a parent is in charge over children, but you know what makes a good parent? One that takes care of the child, one that will serve their child, one that changes their diapers, changes their clothes, gets them something to eat. That's serving the child. And there's no doubt that the parent is in charge, but they have to understand, they have to serve the child. And like I said, there's just a misunderstanding, because people think that, well, I'm in charge, so I don't need to serve, or I don't need to, do anything like that. But that's actually the opposite, because those that understand that there's power in servanthood. And if you think about a business, the most greatest and successful businesses are those that understand about service and have the greatest customer service. Will serve that customer to the greatest ability are the businesses that are most successful. So that's an important lesson I think we need to learn from this, how Joseph was in charge over the prisoners, and it says that he served them. Now, secondly, there's something we actually talked about the other day, where if we're reading in Genesis 40, you see where the butler and the baker, they both had dreams. And we talked about the other day the importance of even writing your dreams down, because a lot of times we'll have a dream and we'll forget it by the time we get up in the morning. Or we'll wake up at nighttime and we'll remember it, but then we'll just go right back to sleep and we'll forget about the dream. But we need to have a notebook by our bed, so as we've been taught about, we need to have a notebook by our bed, so when we wake up in the middle of the night, we can actually write our dreams down. Because if you look at the butler and the baker, the butler had a dream about stuff that was going to come up in his own life. The baker had a dream about stuff that was going to come up in his own life as well too. But the first thing for us to do is actually at least recall our dreams and write our dreams down. So dreams do have significance for our own personal lives, and it can give us insight into things that we should be doing or that we should be preparing for. So we want to write our dreams down because they're significant to us individually. It's not like, Joseph had a dream about the butler and then he interpreted it for the butler. But no, the butler had a dream about himself. And secondly, actually when they had their dream, they couldn't even interpret their dream. So it says they were sad. But Joseph actually understood that, he said, interpretation actually comes from God. So if you even consider how, like we're reading the Bible, you don't understand everything maybe on the first go-around, the second go-around, third go-around, but what you need to do even when you're reading the Word of God is to pray to God for understanding, for Him to open your eyes so that you can grasp what you're reading and you can comprehend what does it mean for you. What's the lesson for life? What is the lesson that I can get for this for myself? And He'll help you to see what you need to see. Same thing with the dream, because the interpretation, it says here from Joseph, he says the interpretation comes from God. So you ask God to open up your understanding so that you can understand what your dream means. So once you've written it down, you have it written down so you can recall at least what you dreamed about. Then if you don't understand it all, you pray to God for understanding, so you can understand what these dreams actually mean and how they pertain to you, because they are giving you insight and they are significant for you personally. So we want to keep that in mind. And the last thing I want to bring up for this chapter is another thing. Like I said, this chapter actually reminded me a lot of things that we've talked even about previously in Genesis, where Joseph actually had interpreted the dreams, and then he had told him not to forget, when he went back to Pharaoh. So, but what happened was that he forgot actually when he went back to Pharaoh. So the last lesson I want to bring up here is what we talked about even the other day about not doing stuff for man, but doing stuff really. Understanding that when you do stuff for man, you're actually doing stuff for God, because man will forget. Man will not give you the greatest blessing. God will give you the blessing. So if you understand the things you're doing and look past the just, I'm doing it for this person, I'm doing it for that person, understand that you're doing it for God, then you understand that your reward is not going to come from man. And that's what makes it even that much more enjoyable to do things when you look past the person. It could be a person you don't even like, but if you do stuff for that person, then you're not doing it really for them. You look past them, look like you're doing it for God. Then you understand your reward is going to come from God too. And as we'll see, even in this, as the chapters progress, that even though he forgot what Joseph had interpreted his dream, but it still will bless Joseph, as we'll see. Okay, so that was it for today's Lessons for Life. Like I said, I encourage you to read the entire chapter through for yourself, because there's always stuff that you can get from it. Because like I said even before, when you pray for interpretation, pray for understanding of the Word, I share with you what I've gotten from it, but there's stuff that you can get from it that you can share with everyone else. Go on to the blog, and everyone else can share it as well. Okay, so go ahead and create yourself a wonderfully blessed day today, and we will talk again tomorrow.